What's the best draft strategy in fantasy football? I get asked this question all the time, and I don't think that there's a best one, but there are some that are better than others. So in today's video, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing a live draft using the 0 RB draft strategy in this video. So you're able to sit back, go through the thoughts, look at how this team is going to work out, and I'll explain it as we go. So let's get to it. All right, so we missed the first pick, and I'm sorry about that, but we went with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, it was between him and Justin Jefferson. I was on the clock, 5th overall pick, and you can go with whoever you want at that range. Really, all the wide receivers were on the board except Tyreek, Jamar Chase, and CeeDee Lamb. So whoever you prefer there, but for this draft strategy, once again, we're going with the 0 RB. Now, what the 0 RB draft strategy is, we're not taking a running back until like round 7, maybe even 8 in this draft, maybe 6, depending on who's there. But one of those rounds, we're going to build out the wide receiver room. I'm going to move myself over here. You already saw the team there. I only have one player. So we're almost on the clock. And what we're doing is we're looking at some of these players. There's some guys that I still really like on the board. But you can kind of see who's available over here at the wide receiver position. So first one, I'm going to go... Man, I need to think about how I'm going to map out this team, right? So I got... Oh, okay. We're going with that week 17 correlation. So we got... Yes, that's what we're doing. Week 17 correlation. All right, so I'm going to move myself once again. So as you can see, we went with Amon-Ra, Deebo Samuel. In these tournaments, yes, you want to just draft the best team that you can, but at the same time, you also want to be able to match up the week 17 games, right? That's a big thing in best ball. Hopefully you can't hear the hose. There's a hose going on outside. Hopefully you can't hear that. But anyways, so we got Amon-Ra St. Brown, Deebo Samuel. They play each other week 17. So we're just looking to stack those games. Now, I'm not going to look to do that on every pick, but I was kind of sitting there wondering who should I go here. It just makes sense with that week 17 that I'll go with Deebo Samuel. So I'm almost on the clock here again. And looking at the wide receiver position, we still have some guys available. I'm a big fan of DJ Moore, DK Metcalf. Hopefully one of those guys land here. If not, then I'll probably go with like Cooper Kupp. You can go with whoever you want. It doesn't matter. All right, so we got Tank Dell. All right, good. My top 3 guys are still on the board. We got Mike Evans. Beautiful. This works out perfectly. Hopefully, all right, perfect. Now we just go with, in my opinion, DJ Moore. I love DJ Moore. I think he's the wide receiver 1 for this team. I know a lot of people really like Keenan Allen, but for me, just a guy who put up big numbers last year with Tyson Bagent and Justin Fields throwing him the rock. I like DJ Moore, and we can also play with Kenneth Walker, possibly 6th, 7th round. Had that week 17 correlation as well. So I'll let you know when I'm back on the clock. Right, so we're almost on the clock again, looking at the draft board here. There's a lot of quarterbacks still on the board. I really want to take one of these guys. But how I'm looking at this, I mean, I could probably go with one of them. That's what I'll probably do. Or I'll just go with Travis Kelce. Maybe go with Patrick Mahomes a little bit later here. There goes Travis Kelce. All right, so really, I mean, I could have anybody I want here. Trying to map out this team in my head. Dalton Kincaid's still there. I don't know if I'll be able to get Dalton Kincaid, but I'm just going to go with Josh Allen. We'll see what happens here. Hopefully I can land Dalton Kincaid. I bet somebody's going to take him. I could have went with Lamar, maybe Mark Andrews. We'll see how this plays out. Because I could still go Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel as my wide receivers. So it gives me some stacking. And then later in the draft, I can go with a guy who I really like as my tight end too sometimes, and Tyler Conklin. So I have some week 17 correlation there. But we'll see how this ends up playing out, not playing. All right, and so we're almost on the board here. Just a few more picks, baby. Please. Just a few more picks. We're so close to getting Kincaid. Don't do it, Sidewalk. He is on auto draft. No, it might give him... I don't know if it'll give him a quarterback or the tight end. Hopefully not the tight end. Not the tight end. All right, so he gets Patrick Mahomes. One person away. Don't go Kincaid. Please don't go Kincaid. Who do you go? He has Hurts. Okay. Pretty nice team. Not gonna lie. So close. Don't do it. All right, beautiful. So we get the stack with Kincaid. I mean, I like Kincaid a lot this year. Should be the #1 target on this team, unless maybe Keon Coleman's an absolute stud. We'll see. But I like this. So far, I feel like this is a pretty solid squad. We got that stack there with the Dalton Kincaid, Josh Allen, quarterback 1 over the past 4 years, well, in terms of points per game, or at least 1 and 2, I think maybe even 3 2 years ago, but still an absolute stud. Bona fide, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL and one of the best players in fantasy football at the quarterback position. Only guy who can average well, not average, but had 30 passing touchdowns and 10 plus rushing touchdowns in a season. So I really like Josh Allen. I'll take him there in the 4th round. So I'll let you know when I'm back on the clock. All right, so we're nearly on the board again. And as you can see, I mean, Rashad White just went off the board. Josh Jacobs. We still have Joe Mixon, Kenneth Walker. There's a lot of running backs still on the board here. Well, now maybe not so much. I'm hoping to land Kenneth Walker here. If not, then I'm just going to pivot and go wide receiver because I know that for the next 2 rounds, I really can go running back heavy. So we're going to see what happens. Hopefully I can land Kenneth Walker. And the reason being is I can get that week 17 correlation once again. So we're going to do that. So right now we got Kenneth Walker, plays Chicago week 17 in Chicago. Could be a higher scoring game, possibly. I mean, those should be 2 pretty good teams at the end of the season, maybe fighting for playoffs position, playoff spots. So I like that there. We got the possibly 2 best fantasy players in that game. Now this next round is going to be a little tricky because we're right on the cusp of some of these wide receivers. Maybe I could have waited 1 more round, honestly, to take a running back and probably went with one of these last guys in this tier because then I think it just falls off quite a bit. But we'll see what happens here. I mean, there goes Brian Thomas. That was the guy that I was also looking at. Ladd goes. Maybe we can hopefully get JSN. I might go Keon Coleman just because I do have Josh Allen as well. I can get that stack, and that's really all of the Bills' offense that I want to take here. Possibly the top 2 targets in this offense. So if not, if he's not there, then I might go with a running back and then maybe try to get like Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir in a couple of rounds here. But we'll see what happens. If not, if I do have JSN or Keon Coleman go, I'm probably looking at like Jonathan Brooks, Ramondre Stevenson, Najee Harris. I think he's still on the board. Yeah. So we got some options here. We'll see how this plays out. Honestly, this is pretty late for CJ Stroud too. It's pretty crazy. All right. So we do get JSN and Keon Coleman. I really don't like Keon Coleman a whole lot, to be honest with you. But since I went Josh Allen, I'm just going to go with Keon Coleman here. And hopefully he ends up proving a lot of people wrong and he's a really good wide receiver. Probably not, but hey, we'll see what happens here. All right, we're going to hope that's the case. I honestly, looking back at it, I probably would have looking back at the board here, I probably wouldn't have went with Kenneth Walker. I should have went with I really like Deontay Johnson in that range, Brian Thomas. So maybe that's one thing as of right now that it would have changed. You can decide what you want to decide. I mean, I do really like Kenneth Walker, but I could have landed like Ramondre Stevenson, Najee Harris is my RB1, and felt decent about it as well. So, all right, well, we'll just wait until I'm on the clock again. So before I'm on the clock, I'm just going to move myself over here. That way you can see kind of the roster so far, what we're working with. So we got Josh Allen as the QB1. We got Kenneth Walker, RB1, some wide receivers, Amon-Ra, Debo, DJ Moore, Keon Coleman. Then we got Dalton Kincaid. I'm probably going to go with another running back here, get one more running back, and then start loading up on the wide receivers again. We'll see what the board looks like, but that's going to be kind of how I'm going to approach this next round. All right, we're almost on the clock again. And currently looking at the board, there goes Najee, man. I was really hoping to get him. All right, so we're on the clock. I did go with Kenneth Walker. I got DJ Moore. I really don't want to go with another Bills player here. I'm just going to go with DeAndre Swift. I mean, I don't love DeAndre Swift, but 8th round, RB2, I think it's okay. Yes, I do have DJ Moore. And then also, once again, we do have that week 17 correlation with DJ Moore, DeAndre Swift, Kenneth Walker. Don't love it, but kind of what we're looking at the running back position, I mean, it's okay. Now, I'm kind of hoping to land next round. The guys that I'm looking at is possibly Joshua Palmer, Trey Benson, and we can kind of build out the roster a little bit more from there. We'll see who goes. Okay, we got James Conner. See, this is what I wish I would have done, right? Maybe not go Kenneth Walker, go with Brian Thomas, because then we could have went with like Curtis Samuel and not feel too bad about it. I just don't want to load up on all these Bills players, honestly. I'm not a fan of that. So if I'm on the clock right here, there's a couple running backs that I could go that I do like, but I'm going to go with Joshua Palmer, and the reason why is just because I think there's a chance that he could potentially be the wide receiver 1 on this team. I know Ladd McConkey goes pretty early, but we've seen Joshua Palmer in some of these spots put up decent fantasy numbers without Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. So I don't mind this. And also, I kind of like going a second quarterback a little bit early just because the quarterback makes up a lot of your scoring on a week-to-week basis. And I could potentially go with Justin Herbert, who sometimes goes in like the 13th round. We'll see if that happens. But that's just going to be in my back pocket. And then there's also a guy that I always get at the end of the draft that I can get that week 17 correlation as well. So we'll see what happens here, and I'll let you know when I'm back on the clock. Almost on the clock again. Figured I'd let you check out the team. So this is the squad. This is what we're looking at. Got my tight end, Dalton Kincaid. We have Trevor Lawrence. Honestly, I'm really hoping to land Tajay Spears, and there goes right as I say him, right? There goes Tajay Spears. So I'm kind of looking at Blake Corum and Chase Brown. Ideally, it's Chase Brown. All right, we go Chase Brown. And the reason why Chase Brown is just because, I mean, we do have this ambiguous backfield with him and Zach Moss, who I think it's probably going to be Zach Moss, but there is a chance that it could potentially be Chase Brown in this backfield. Now, I don't know if he'll ever fully overtake it and be the guy, but I mean, he's the next man up in one of the highest powered offense, whatever it is, high-powered offense in the NFL, as long as Joe Burrow is healthy as well. But I mean, as my RB3, potentially give me some pretty big spike weeks if he does end up overtaking the backfield. I mean, I really like him in this range. All right, so when we're on the clock next, now Cincinnati plays Denver, and there is a wide receiver I like to go from Denver, so that can work out. When I'm on the clock next, I'm kind of looking at like what we got going on here. I don't love the running back position. Some of the wide receivers still on the board. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of. So this is where we might go with a second quarterback. I probably shouldn't do it though, honestly. I really like taking Justin Herbert just because he goes so late, man. I love Justin Herbert. I'm a big fanboy. So this is something maybe you don't do. If I even end up doing it, I don't know. I'm going to try to talk myself out of it, but I really want to do it. I do have, I do have an elite quarterback, and I kind of don't want to go him. I'm doing it, though. I don't care. I love Justin Herbert. It's probably a terrible pick. All right, so you don't have to do that, okay? But I really do like Justin Herbert a lot. He goes so late, and I feel like he has the potential to be a top 5 quarterback, and I could get maybe, big spike weeks out of both these guys and get a lot of points. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. But I'm a big fanboy of Justin Herbert. All right, so you can just erase that and go another guy. Maybe Zeke was the pick there. I did like Kendre Miller. I was looking at Kendre Miller. Even some of these wide receivers, like a Gabe Davis, could give me a couple spike weeks as well. Jerry Jeudy, I'm not quite sure how that offense is going to work, but there's other guys on the board that I probably shouldn't have went with him. But it's okay, because now we don't need I'm not worrying about another quarterback later in the draft. So when we're on the clock next, what I'm going to be looking at is we got 3 running backs. I'm going to go with another running back. And there's just a couple running backs that I really do like in this range, like a Kamani Vidal, and then we can kind of stack that Chargers offense that I do think is going to be pretty good this year. And there's also one other guy that I do really want to take. I'm a big fan of Troy Franklin. Wait, did he already go? Oh, no. He's down there. Okay. He's not for a couple more rounds. All right. But looking at this, I mean, there's some other running backs that I can go here. But yeah, well, I'll let you know when I'm back on the clock. All right. So we're nearly on the clock again. And there's a couple of different guys I could go here. Looking at who's on the board. I could potentially go with Nick Chubb and just hope he's okay and kind of play that. But what I'm going to do is, because I do want to stack this offense a little bit, and it might be a little bit of a reach here, but I really do like Kamani Vidal. I think that this backfield's kind of up in the air. And now maybe you want to go with Jalen Wright, who I do really like here. Or you could even go Nick Chubb. Maybe I should have went Nick Chubb. I'm just kind of, it's early and we really haven't heard anything with Nick Chubb. So I don't know if he's going to be really ready at all this season, but this is honestly not a bad shot or not a bad place to take a chance on him. But I really do like Vidal because I think that he could be the guy in this backfield potentially. Very good collegiate career, very good at missed tackles forced per attempt last year in college, a senior year, put up good numbers, good combine. And really you got like Gus Edwards. I know that Gus Edwards is a solid back, but I mean, he's okay. And then you got just a guy who can never stay healthy coming off Achilles tear and J.K. Dobbins. I think there's a real potential he could lead this backfield, so I really do like taking chances on him in this range. And it's not a hefty price that you need to pay. All right, so I'm almost on the clock again. And I'll be able to get him next round, I think. There's another guy I really do like, taking a little bit ahead of ADP. But looking at who's on the board here, I'm not worried about another tight end. I'm going to go with, did somebody just take him? All right, so we're on the clock, and I am going to panic pick here. I'm going with a guy. I'm sorry. Hey, this might be a reach too, but I really do like Troy Franklin. I want to make sure I get him. He's one of my guys later in the draft, okay? But then also I kind of have this Week 17 correlation between him and Chase Brown. I probably could have gotten him next round, but I really do like Troy Franklin as well because I think that he could be the wide receiver 1 for this team. He's playing with his college quarterback here. I'm going to move this over so that way you can see the draft board as well. But playing with his college quarterback, Sean Payton, and I know a lot of people kind of like Courtland Sutton, but like Courtland Sutton has just been a very meh player throughout his entire career, hasn't eclipsed over 900 yards since 2019. And I think there's a chance that potentially Troy Franklin is a good receiver at the next level, and he could be this team's number 1 wide receiver. So maybe a little bit early, I could have maybe went with Quinn Johnson, but I already have 3 Chargers guys here. I really don't want to go with another one. But yeah, we're going to just take our chances, and maybe a little bit too early. You could have went with somebody else, but in this range, I really don't mind it. All right, I'm on the clock next, and I'm going to go with a tight end that I do like taking here. And we can also get this Week 17 correlation going as well with Buffalo. We're going to take Tyler Conklin. I don't really think this Week 17 game is going to be very high scoring, but hey, you never know. It is in Buffalo, I'm pretty sure as well. So you got a defensive team going into Buffalo, playing Buffalo late in the season. Probably not going to be high scoring, but I do like Tyler Conklin. I think he's a bit undervalued at the tight end position this season. And for a guy who's been a decent tight end throughout the past couple of years with awful quarterback play, and there is Mike Williams, potentially here, but at the same time, it's like, dude's coming off a torn ACL at like age 30. Is he going to be any good? I don't know. He could potentially be the number 2 target here, Tyler Conklin, for this offense this season. I could have went with Malachi Corley, and I was thinking about it. I still have a chance to take him, but I do want to build out this. All right, we are just going to go with Malachi Corley. All right, we'll go with him. I was thinking about. I wish I didn't do that because there was a guy that I really like, Tyrone Tracy, and I feel like there's a chance he's going to be gone next round. And I'll be really sad. I'll be pretty sad if he ends up going because he's usually one of my guys in this range. But it's all right. It's all right. We'll keep it going. All right, so I went with Malachi Corley, and we also get Tyler Conklin once again for that Week 17 correlation there against Buffalo. And I mean, our team right now is, you may be sitting here and kind of saying you don't really like the team. I think it's how we started was pretty good, and then it just kind of comes down to like who you prefer. Maybe some people don't really like Troy Franklin, maybe some people don't like Chase Brown, but there was other options in those range that you could have seen. Actually, I should move my screen over. That way you're able to see some of these guys, but there's some other guys in these ranges that are still on the board that you can just kind of pivot. But I do think this strategy works really well. I mean, I think that this team really waiting on the running back position, depending on if you're a running back kind of guy, I also think that you could go like, it's kind of a modified 0 RB or a modified hero RB draft strategy. It's more of a zombie RB just because these running backs are getting pushed down the board that really you could get your running back in like round 3 and have a guy who could be potentially RB1 and like a Kyron Williams goes in the 3rd round. A Devon Achane sometimes goes in the 3rd round. So there's a chance that you can land one of those guys and then still have a pretty solid running back room. All right, so I still get my guy here. I really like Tyrone Tracy. I think that there's a real chance he could potentially be the RB1 on this team too. And that's kind of what I'm doing with the running back room right now. I'm taking shots on guys who are rookies, second-year players. We don't really know a whole lot about, but I do think that there's a chance these guys are good athletes in a running back room that's kind of open. and not really sure who the actual starter is. And I'm just taking a shot in these rooms because if one of them hits, then I have a pretty solid wide receiver room. I have an elite quarterback core. I have an elite tight end that I just need one of these guys to hit. And I think that I don't want to say it can maybe help me win this thing, but I think, gives me a better chance. And maybe this is just also a terrible team. I don't know. All right. But we're looking at all right. So we're at 17 now. And there's another rookie that honestly I find myself taking quite a bit here as well that I'm probably going to take. And then we're just going to absolutely take one last guy. But this is going to be Javon Baker. And why I'm going to take Javon Baker this late, I don't know if he's going to be any good. I got a lot of rookies on this squad, but these are rookies going later in the drafts that, once again, I just think that they're the best players to take later because these could be undervalued players that we don't know how to correctly value them because we haven't seen them play right. Javon Baker, I don't know if he's going to be any good. I kind of doubt it. But still, this is a wide receiver room that's a bit open. I was considering Pop Douglas earlier because I do think that Pop will probably end up leading this wide receiver core. But they have a quarterback in Drake May that I like Drake May. Big arm, can throw it down the field. This is probably going to be their deep target in Javon Baker if he ends up being, actually good. I don't know. But could potentially be their deep target on this offense that maybe gives me a big spike week or two here or there with Drake May. So he's a guy later in the draft that honestly I don't mind taking. And also we get that week 17 correlation with the Los Angeles Chargers. So maybe he ends up being the number one player for the New England Patriots that week and we got him. Although I will say the Chargers are going into New England that week. So it's not a great game to try to figure out what's going to happen in New England week 17. But hey, we're going with it. We're just going to continue to roll with it. All right, our last pick here on the clock. I'm kind of looking at the running backs. I was thinking about I'm going to go with Isaac Arendo because I think that there's a chance he could potentially be the RB2 on this team. And if anything happens to Christian McCaffrey, we have him. And also we kind of go with our first pick in Amon-Ra St. Brown, Deebo Samuel. Potentially have that week 17 correlation as well because maybe CMC's hurt down the stretch and he's their number one back. I have no idea. What I wish I would have done maybe a little bit early instead of like Malachi Corley, I went with another running back in that range instead of Corley because I never take Corley, but got to get my exposure to different players throughout the draft, right? And these are some guys that I don't find myself taking a whole lot. Definitely don't take Corley. I really don't take Dalton Kincaid and Josh Allen a whole lot either, but they were just going kind of late that I felt like I could get it. So that ends up being the squad. I'll pull it up here. I think it's this one. Let's see. Yeah, so this ends up being the squad. I'll put my person over here, my camera, and take a look at the squad. I mean, you can hate it. I don't care. But this is kind of how you would build it out. At least through the first 7 rounds, I feel like we did a pretty good job until like round 10. Then it got a little wonky and you can do different stuff. Wait on the quarterback position, which is another thing I'd like to do because I could go with Drake May super late in the draft, or I could go with a guy like Russell Wilson super late in the draft, Daniel Jones super late in the draft. So there's some quarterbacks to kind of stack throughout the draft. I like going Javon Baker, like I said, so Drake May. So kind of depends on what you want to do, but this is what the team would sort of look like, at least through the first 7 rounds. So let me know how you think the team will do this in this tournament. But I appreciate you all and have a great rest of your day. Make sure you hit that follow button, subscribe, whatever it is. Peace out, people.